Hi, I'm Martin Smith. I'm here at Shosh Vineyards, and I'm here going over tracks for track loaders or bulldozers and such forth. If you're looking to buy tracks, first terminology you should know is that the chain down here is known as rails, and that terminology came from train tracks. They just considered this to be a train, and they made the tracks go around it. These are grousers. And this one here has two grouses on it per plate. Some have three, and most bulldozers only have one. If you're up in the mountains, you're looking to buy one with only one of these sticking up high. Okay, getting into the nitty-gritty of it, this is the front wheel here. And as you can see, this part here is busted off. Now what happens is when you make turns, if you put your hand here, you're going to feel this side here is going to be more rounded than this side, unless these things are brand new, because the outside always wears off first. I'll go to the other side. So when you're looking at these things, it's always best to check both sides, because every once in a while you notice this one here isn't all worn out. I've already welded up that first side once already, and I'm welding it up again. The other aspect you should know is how old your track is, and you can tell two ways. One is this piece here will be pushed out as far as it can go, and there'll be slack in the track, as you can see the slack in there. We've got these top wheels here. I forget the names of them. As you can see, both of these are real worn out. They don't really have to be that great. I'm going to replace one on each side, or at least that's my plans. This track here is just about ready to be replaced. As you can see, the back sprockets here, they don't have any girth to it or width at the top. As you see here, the reason why this one here has some width to it is because it has busted. So these here are completely worn out, and if you go up here to the top part of the chain, let's see if I can get a good view of it. Probably not. There we go. This is the upper side of the chain, and as I feel this, it's real worn out. And if you feel the top part of it, this one here is real worn out. So this chain has already been flipped. And when I bought it, this bottom part was completely round, but it like I said, it had been flipped. So, 10% of this chain is pretty much used up. You also see wear right up here on the bottom side of the chain. This is where the sprockets are hitting it and cutting the chain up, and eventually this thing will bust. I'm just looking to get as much use out of as I can before I change it, and that's why I'm doing this video. The bottom side here, these rollers down at the bottom, that's another thing to look at. And on this vehicle, they all turn rather well, so I probably won't have to replace anything. This is a Cat 977. Yeah, this is a Cat 977, and the tracks, I'm guessing, are around $18,000 a piece to do the bottom end, and that's about what the thing sells for secondhand. So I could consider this thing to be scrapped at this point in time, as in just take it to the junkyard. However, I am going to get new tracks for it. Okay, the welding rods that I'm using on this thing, and I'm not sure what I used the first time. I may have used the 6013s. These are 7018s, and I'm doing that for the initial weld. And then I'm coming over it with a different type of welding rod. This is a high alloy welding rod. And what you have to remember on these is only burn them halfway through, because they'll turn orange hot and melt on you. And then change out welding rods, because the rods will melt before you can use the whole rod. The other thing you need to worry about on these high alloy rods is do not smell the smoke. They will make you very, very sick, far worse than these things will. when I was learning this thing, I was turning going backwards, and that wears out the tracks real badly. And I was also turning when I was going up this way. That means the ditch was in this direction, and that puts the force or weight on this thing on the front and well, I'm going to call them wheels. But what that does is it puts all the force on the turn up against these things, and it eats up both the back and the front really fast. And that's why these got worn out, because I wasn't driving it properly. When you make turns, you always want to make sure that it's going this direction, as you can feel it pulling forward. As over a hill, that puts all the weight in the middle of the machine, and that makes it easier to turn and easier on the tracks. So, time to weld. One other thing I should say about the welder, I found that the millers seem to last longer. I've gone through quite a few welders, stick welders. And for this kind of work, you do have to have a AC welder. I am welding in AC for both the 7018s and the high alloy steels. Okay, other things to mention on these things when you're welding. You want to put your ground up to here. That way the electricity is falling through here, and your wheel. You do not want to go through bearings, so don't hook it. You either want to hook it to the wheel or to this, and I found I get better results hooking it up to the track. And if you go through the bearings, what will happen is you will overheat them. You'll mess up your grease, and you'll spark the ball bearings themselves, and that will ruin the ball bearings. Since I'm welding this one up anyway, if you notice the welding up in here, I'm going to put the alloy welding bead right up against here, make this more rounded off. This side here is real round, and this side here has gotten flattened out, where I pretty much wore this thing out by turning it improperly. And if you're buying one, good luck on results. If you're buying an old one, just remember, whatever you're paying for it, you're going to pay probably the same amount every couple thousand hours of use, just in maintenance and repairs, and you're also going to pay the same amount in diesel. So I have $20,000 in this rig right here. So I have $20,000 in buying this rig right here. That's in getting it and having it delivered. I've got at least that much in repairs, and once I do these tracks, it'll be another $18,000. And then I've put about that much also into diesel. So these things, they burn, about 4 gallons an hour? No, excuse me, 10. This one here burns 10 gallons of diesel per hour. So the smaller units, they get better, they use less diesel, but the bigger units actually move dirt so much faster that they're actually a savings. So the bigger they are, the better piece of equipment you have. And if you're buying stuff like this, just know that that is a big issue.